The more that I watch Sean Strickland fight and just act in his full-on character as we continue to go along his career, and again, please don't think that this means that I agree with anything he says. It doesn't mean necessarily that I agree with all the things that he says at all. I'm saying just truly and purely for entertainment purposes, I'm liking Sean Strickland more and more as time moves on. I don't know about you, but just I think he's just super, super funny and highly entertaining. Paramount is literally cutting off the guy's mic at the post press conference because of the craziest, outlandish things that he's saying regarding world topics, ICE, this, Bad Bunny. Sean Strickland is so unfiltered and it's honestly hilarious and entertaining. So again, I don't agree with any, it's not saying that I'm agreeing with anything he says. I don't have any strong opinions on that. I'm saying purely for the sports entertainment purposes and being entertaining, Sean Strickland right now is one of the most entertaining UFC fighters on the roster. And that's a fact. That is a fact. Whether people could hate him or love him, he's one of the most entertaining fighters on the roster right now. And the way that he's cutting promos, running conferences, it's insane what this guy is saying. And he's honestly hilarious. And yeah, Sean Strickland is the shit again. Dude just went in there after a long month suspension, months long. He took the loss to Dricus du Plessis twice. In between that, he got the win versus Paulo Costa. It was a very underwhelming performance. Then went in there, had a very boring performance versus Dricus in their second fight. What does he do after all this time? He comes back and probably looked in the best version and shape of his life. And the best version I think we've ever seen him. This just propelled Sean Strickland into new levels for me in the way that I perceived him just this entire thing. Because I held so highly of Fluffy Hernandez. He was on an 8-fight win streak. And I truly believed he was the top dog to beat. And he could have been Khamzat Chimaev's toughest opponent. And man, was I wrong. Because all week people were saying Strickland has the style. Strickland's going to get it. My boy was saying, yo, I'm betting on Strickland. And that's what Sean Strickland does. Third round, big knee to the body to Fluffy to ultimately hurt him. And then finishes it with a crazy ground and pound. We'll get to that fight in a minute. And the middleweight division is starting to heat up. Things are getting crazy. Because I heard some rumors that are coming out over the weekend that Khazmat Chimaev may even vacate his middleweight title, which he has not defended even one time since August, and move up to fight Yuri. We'll get into all of that. But before we do that, I want to quickly go over what the UFC has in store for us in the coming weeks. So, listen, we know about all of this. We got UFC 326 in a few weeks. Still no co-main event announced. UFC Mexico's next weekend. Okay card. We'll cover that soon. I actually want to talk about this main event on a different video, Vallejos versus Emmett, because we got to talk about Vallejos. He's a stud in the making. Evloev versus Murphy in London. We know that. Izzy, Legends fight. But I'm nervous for Izzy. But yeah, so two big main card, actually three big main fights. This we kind of had our usual expectations. This fight was going to be made. Tyra versus Van in Miami. This is obviously the co-main event. They still have to announce the main event. And the rest of the card. But Van kind of already confirmed it because he was in Houston, so the UFC just went out and announced it already. Cool, right? They're keeping the flyweight division moving while Pantoja's recovering from injury. This could definitely be a Mapex main event. This is a fire fight. I'm telling you right now, Moicano versus Duncan. Duncan is never in a boring fight. His last two fights were generational performances. He's been one of these great, scrappy, but unranked lightweights. This is finally his chance to go into the lightweight rankings. This is going to be a fire matchup on the feet, a scrappy, striking fight with Moicano. Chris Duncan is definitely becoming a favorite of mine. So the problem is his nickname. So yeah, Duncan's going to go in there and hopefully beat Moicano. I'm honestly done with Moicano as a fighter. I think I want the new to come in. And this is a fight where I could see that happening with Duncan taking on Moicano's raking. But then this fight confuses me right here. Brady versus Buckley. Big fight in the welterweight division, and it's happening in the Apex. Very surprising. But Sean Brady stepping back in there after his loss to Michael Morales. Buckley stepping in back in there after Kamaru Usman. I think a lot of people have the notion that Buckley's going to just get out-wrestled and grappled again by Sean Brady in this fight. I still hold very highly of Sean Brady. He's still he's not the most exciting style. He's definitely a grappler and wrestler. But I like Sean Brady a lot, and I think he's going to get the win over Buckley in this, but it's just confusing that's in the Apex. But this is a pretty big main event for an Apex. They got guys like Mike Malott and Burns in freaking Winnipeg, but they're doing Brady versus Buckley in the Apex. I'm so done with Burns. Why are they still pushing this guy like he's some big fighter, like giving him main events in Canada? Like, Burns just not like that no more. I think this main event is more designed for Maylot to burst into the prime scene. He's been on a little bit of a win streak, so I think this is really for Maylot as a Canadian fighter to really showcase, because they're building this entire event around him. And he's honestly one of the only like Canadian fighters I really know on the roster. I mean, there's Charles Jourdain who's probably going to be on this card as well. That's really it. So yeah, those are all new fight announcements that were made over the weekend. And we're going to talk about the rumors circling UFC Miami, because basically what happened this past weekend was a big development in the middleweight division. What I thought was going to be ultimately a fluffy win turned into a Sean Strickland showcase performance. And yeah, Sean Strickland is aging better and better as a win for a lot of fighters. For Dricus, the fact that he became champion isn't a suspect anymore. This is a great win for Sean Strickland, a fantastic win. Finishing Fluffy Hernandez, who was looking like a menace on the ground, finishing people, submitting them, making dog walking like Roman Dolidze in his last fight, just getting in people's faces and smiling, memeing. I thought Anthony Hernandez was that dude, and he still very well could be, but this was just a step back for when Sean Strickland stepped in there. He definitely proved he had the style to beat Anthony Hernandez. He kept the pressure. He kept walking in his grill, doing the typical Sean Strickland jabs, peep kicks. And then Sean Strickland completely did not disappoint in what we thought could be another Paulo Costa type of fight, or Dricus du Plessis 2 kind of fight from Sean Strickland. He ended up finishing the guy. He ended up ground and pounding him. He even looked surprised himself when he got the finish. And then, dude, like the way he like cut his promo, he called out Khamzat Chimaev, and that could be a crazy fight. They might just skip over Nasruddin Imavov and put in Sean Strickland. Technically, this fight was Sean Strickland's first fight coming off a title shot again, so it's not too crazy for him to. Imavov definitely has done enough, but Sean Strickland might just get that shot to fight Khamzat, and that buildup would be crazy. They hate each other, and Khamzat is no game, bro. He is a gangster, but Strickland also is about it, bro. Strickland, this dude is not the definition of any kind of coward. Like, Strickland literally advocates, like, women need to stay in the kitchen, I'm a real man, blah, blah, blah. So, like, now here's the interesting thing, though, right? There were rumors coming out this weekend that, in fact, right, Pereira is probably going to vacate. That's no shocker to us. He's going to probably vacate the lightweight, heavyweight belt and move on to heavyweight to fight Cyril Gane for the interim heavyweight belt. While Tom Aspinall is still healing from his wounds and his eye injury, which I feel so bad for Tom Aspinall. Like, if we could just take a minute to talk about that, like, Tom Aspinall is just, the way his career is going, he was on pace to be just, this superstar for the heavyweight division, the only interesting thing in the heavyweight division that could make big fights versus the whole John Jones thing, then comes back, finally gets a fight, eye poked, can't even finish the fight. And now it's months later and he's still dealing with the injuries. I really, really hope Tom Aspinall could fight again. I really hope this isn't the end of his career. Since, seriously. But anyways, so yeah, Pereira, they're saying he's going to fight Gane in Newark, though, and not at the White House. So that's interesting take. But then what happens? He vacates light heavyweight, and it would normally be Yuri versus Olberg. But then rumors came out, and this is so out of left field, that Khamzat Chimaev, who tweeted over the weekend 205, and reports now are saying that there was a verbally agreed upon fight between Khamzat Chimaev and Yuri Prohaska for the light heavyweight title. Now here is like where things get kind of crazy. The first thing people are going to think is, how could Khamzat be doing this, right? He hasn't even defended once yet at the newly gained middleweight title that he's had. He's been extremely inactive. He's only been fighting around once a year. Injuries, this, that, the way his career has gone. He needs to defend at least once at middleweight. He hasn't even defended. He's already been out for too long, I think, since his last fight. He needs to be more active. But he's already calling for another title. I guess he really wants to become like a double champion as fast as possible. Guys, listen. I could hear that point that like people are like, it doesn't make much sense why he's moving up to fight Prohaska. Technically, it should be Prohaska and Olberg. But I'm just going to say off the top hand right now, I'm not opposed to that fight, though, because that's a massive fight. Prohaska versus Khamzat. Like, think about that for a moment. Just knowing the type of fighter that Prohaska is and the type of fighter that Khamzat is. That would be a chaotic, massive fight. Just the two clash of personalities. Like, Yuri doing his yelling and meditating and whole samurai thing. And Khamzat Chimaev literally, like, yelling in his face, like, I kill you, I kill everybody. Like, bro, it's going to be a crazy. If that really is the case. And I mean, this would be a big audible on 6 weeks' notice because Miami's really coming up. And they only announced the co-main event so far. They really got to decide on things. But I have a feeling at the end of the day, they're just going to be doing Olberg and Prohaska because Olberg, he's been waiting for his shot. He's done enough. That's been the fight they've been on track to make right now. It's so, like, it's kind of like unrealistic that, like, Khamzat will make this big transition to fight at light heavyweight. But it also is on brand, though, with the UFC making the biggest fights in the Paramount era. I'm just saying, like, if people could be very hung up on the fact that Khamzat needs to defend and everything, but if this really is the case, I'm not against it. I honestly kind of dig it, like a massive fight like that, Khamzat versus Prohaska in Miami. Crazy, like, move if that really is the direction they're going in. And then this is the point I'm trying to circle back on. If that is the case, right, if Khamzat is going to move up to fight Yuri at light heavyweight, well, first of all, Olberg then has to sit on the sidelines. But either way, then he vacates the middleweight title. Sean Strickland can fight Nasruddin Imavov on the White House for the middleweight title, right? They'll fight for the second time. Apparently, Imavov, I didn't realize this, but I guess he fought Sean Strickland on short notice when they first fought. They fought before, but Strickland actually beat him. One of the few fighters to beat Imavov in his career, because Imavov is aging better and better as a win, too. He's coming off wins versus Adesanya and Baralio, and Jared Cannonier, and Brendan Allen. Like, Imavov has a pretty good resume right now. That could be a plan. Sean Strickland, massive win. He could turn around and come on the White House. And that could be another stacked title fight. You could have Topuria versus Gaethje. You're going to have Robbie Connor on there and everything. I thought they were going to do Pereira on there, but now they're saying Pereira is probably going to be fighting in Newark. So maybe Strickland versus Imavov for the vacant middleweight title because Khamzat's moving up to light heavyweight. Or, of course, Strickland waits his turn to fight Khazmat Chimaev, and you have a massive fight like that because Strickland's back on it. He is it again. Like, I didn't really look at him like such a like big like fighter until now because I feel like his style is kind of like he hasn't had the most impressive performances. I feel like he was about to get beaten by Anthony Hernandez and fall further down the line, but he completely showcased, and this is a breakout performance for Sean Strickland. So yeah, guys, and for Hernandez, hopefully he could bounce back from this. He's a great fighter. He's not so boring just because he's a grappler wrestler. He knows ways to make it entertaining. His Roman Dolidze performance was very entertaining. I did not really see this coming, but yeah, Anthony Hernandez, wow, like Sean Strickland. And again, like Sean Strickland, just his personality, the things he was saying on the mic was crazy. The whole ice thing and like the Mexican angle, bro, it's just funny, like entertaining wise. I'm not like, I don't agree with like with everything he says. I don't carry any kind of opinions. I'm just saying, hilarious, bro. So massive from Sean Strickland. And now things get very interesting in 3 different divisions, and big announcements are coming soon, guys. We're going to have big announcements regarding light heavyweight, heavyweight, and maybe even now middleweight, if this is really true with the Khamzat news. Even if Khamzat doesn't get this light heavyweight title fight versus Yuri, he still needs to get a fight in. Like, it's almost the spring. Like, how much longer do you need? Oh, and another thing that makes it really hard to accept that this is the reality is Ramadan just started. Like, how is Khamzat starting to prepare in camp and put on and bulk up for 205 if he just started with Ramadan, unless he's not keeping Ramadan? I mean, Magomed Ankalaev has fought through Ramadan before. The first time they fought Pereira. Oh no, the second time maybe. But yeah, very interesting, guys. So yeah, Sean Strickland, crazy performance versus Anthony Hernandez. And just the rest of this card was actually really good. Uros Medic, this is down bad for Jeff Neal. That's back-to-back bad knockout losses. Uros Medic in the first round, it took a minute 19. They were throwing haymakers the first couple seconds, within the first minute of this fight. And then Uros Medic clips Jeff Neal. Literally the definition of clips him with, like, what, the right hand, I think it was? Crazy fast. Like, Uros Medic has quickly burst on the scene. What is this, like his second ever UFC fight? And the dude has quick hands and some power to knock the snot out of Jeff Neal like that. Like, it's crazy. And Jeff Neal maybe has to wrap it up on his career, dude. Slept by Prate. He's now slept by Serbian Uros Medic. Who was the first guy this guy beat? Oh, right, it was Salikov. Oh, he's actually been in the UFC for a while. I'm tripping. I don't know why, but, like, the first fight I watched Uros Medic on was the Salikov fight. I guess he's really been in here. I don't know. This is really... They put him in as a co-main event, so I guess they're really believing in Medic. And then apparently there's also going to be an event in Serbia. Crazy location if the UFC is doing that, but he's a lock for that card. Him and, like, Rakic. Melkazail Costa is really surprising us with these crazy finishes he's doing on fighters. The Dalmatian, bro. He's pretty cool as a fighter. He comes into every fight with, like, a new hairstyle, and he obviously has, like, a rare skin condition, which is why they call him the Dalmatian. He had a head kick KO versus Morgan Charrier, and then, like, a spinning, like, kick, whatever you want to call that move, on Dan Ige. Dan Ige has lost, like, a couple fights in a row now. Like, since that win versus Sean Woodson, I don't know, he's been losing a lot lately. Lost to Lopez, lost to Patricio Pitbull, lost to Lerone Murphy. Like, Dan Ige's just been a journeyman at featherweight, but at this point, I don't even know, like, what he's doing. Like, he looks goofy with this mustache, bro. But Melkazail Acosta is a problem at featherweight right now. The way he's finishing people is insane. Crazy finishes to do back-to-back. And on a crazy win streak also. Give this guy a higher-ranked opponent. Let's see what he could do. He's got the ground game, the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. He's got the striking clearly because he's doing crazy creative shots. And it's just insane in first rounds. This ain't by chance. This dude has some serious skill. Melkazail Acosta. A classic, very boring heavyweight fight. I don't give a shit about this fight, bro. Sergey Spivak versus Ante Delija. This was pretty crazy. Jacoby Smith is another threat at welterweight. In a stacked welterweight division, this dude is shredded. Look at this dude. Oh my goodness. And he is definitely the number one prospect at welterweight. One of the top prospects in the UFC at right now. He just destroyed Josiah Harrell. I'm seeing a lot of reels on my feed of, like, the aftermath of Josiah Harrell trying to get up. Scary stuff. I really hope he's good. Like, they tried standing him up and he still fell down. It was serious damage. Like, Jacoby Smith did get a little extra in there. This dude is scary, bro. Jacoby Smith. Oh my goodness. How many fights has he had? 3, undefeated. Beat a pretty, like, Josiah Harrell, I heard, was, like, a pretty big, like, fighter from the regional scene, undefeated, good prospect on the regional scene, but holy cow, Jacoby Smith. Stud in the making. Another crazy, like, person to watch out for in this crazy stacked welterweight division. So Jacoby Smith, showcasing performance. I didn't like this card at first, but I mean, I think in the future this is going to age out as a pretty good card because Medic is going to be probably a good ranked fighter. Melkazail Costa. I think Jacoby Smith could be a star. Strickland versus Hernandez. Sometimes these cards are, like, mid in the moment because the names aren't so big, but in the long term, they end up aging better. And then apparently this was a war. Didn't really watch this fight, but Zach Reese, Michel Pereira actually gets a win. I think Michel Pereira was fighting for his job, like, with this fight. Like, he really had some bad performances lately. He goes in there and beats Zach Reese. Carlos Leo, straightforward decision versus Chidi Nijo Kwani. Nijo Kwani again loses. And then Ode Osborne keeps losing. And that was really it. Nothing else really stood out on this card. Yeah, the rest of this card was pretty mid. The main card, though, was pretty sick. pretty sick. Pretty much crazy finishes all around. That's what, 4 big, like, and a good war. So yeah, guys, those are my thoughts on UFC Houston. And again, we have some pretty consistent weeks now of UFC coming up. Mexico, 326, the main event. I'm very hyped for. Legends fight, literally. So we got to really soak it in because probably both of these dudes, it's one of their last fights in their career. I'm saying they probably both have maybe another 2 years in the sport. Oliveira really loves this. And then, yeah, a bunch of cool fight night main events. And then a lot of good stuff in the future. And UFC 327's going to be probably a crazy card. We'll see how that shapes out. So yeah, guys, until next time.